Imagine looking up at the sky and seeing massive, glowing rings spanning across the horizon. What if Earth had rings like Saturn? How would it change life on our planet? Could it affect the weather, day-night cycles, or even human history? Let's dive into this fascinating alternate reality where Earth wears a crown of cosmic rings. So, how could Earth get rings like Saturn in the first place? One possible way is through a massive collision. Millions or even billions of years ago, if a large moon or asteroid got too close to Earth, it could have been torn apart by Earth's gravity. The debris from that collision could have formed a disk of particles orbiting our planet, eventually becoming rings, just like Saturn's. But unlike Saturn's icy rings, Earth's rings might be made of rock and dust, perhaps with some ice, depending on how they were formed. Now, let's imagine what these rings would look like from Earth. If you lived near the equator, you'd see a thin, glowing line stretching across the sky. But in places farther north or south, the rings would look massive, like giant arches curving across the horizon. During the day, sunlight reflecting off the rings could create dazzling displays, while at night, the rings would glow with the reflected light of the sun and moon. Depending on the thickness and composition of the rings, they could even cast shadows on the ground, creating new, unique patterns of light and darkness. But how would these rings affect Earth's environment? For one thing, they'd change the amount of sunlight that reaches the planet's surface. Depending on the angle of the rings, parts of Earth could be in shadow for extended periods, which could have a significant impact on our climate. For example, areas under the ring's shadow could experience cooler temperatures. This could alter wind patterns, disrupt weather systems, and even change the distribution of rain. Some regions might become drier, while others could experience new types of storms. In the long term, it might even affect Earth's seasons. Another big change would be our night sky. The rings would reflect sunlight, even when the sun is on the other side of the planet. This means that, depending on where you are, night might never be truly dark. In some places, the rings could create permanent twilight, with their glow lighting up the night sky. While this sounds beautiful, it could have downsides. Some animals rely on darkness to navigate or hunt, and many plants and ecosystems are sensitive to light cycles. These creatures might have to adapt to the constant light from the rings, possibly changing the way they live and behave. Let's not forget about space travel. If Earth had rings, launching rockets and satellites could get a lot more complicated. Space agencies would have to find safe pathways through or around the rings to avoid collisions with debris. And the debris in the rings might pose a constant risk to spacecraft. But on the flip side, the rings could also offer resources. Future space missions might harvest materials from the rings, like water ice or metals, to use as fuel or building materials for space stations. In a way, Earth's rings could become a valuable cosmic resource. Now, think about how Earth's rings would have influenced human history. Throughout the ages, cultures and civilizations have been deeply shaped by the sky, whether it's the sun, moon, or stars. If we had rings, they would have been a massive presence in the sky, likely becoming central to human mythology, art, and even religion. Ancient civilizations might have built monuments aligned with the rings, and stories of gods or spirits living within the rings could have been passed down through generations. Perhaps the rings would have been seen as a sign of protection, or a reminder of cosmic power. Even today, they could become a symbol of Earth's beauty and uniqueness. Looking ahead, if Earth had rings, they could become an integral part of our future. Cities might design special observatories to study and admire the rings, and tourism could thrive with people traveling to different parts of the world just to see the rings from different angles. So, would Earth be better off with rings? While they would bring immense beauty and wonder, the rings could also come with serious challenges. From changes to the climate and weather, to the impact on wildlife, and the complications for space travel, Earth with rings would be a very different planet than the one we know today. Still, it's a fun thought experiment to imagine a world where Earth had its own cosmic crown, a constant reminder of the dynamic, ever-changing universe we live in.